All righty. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. Good evening. Welcome to the show. Let's see. We got Andreas, Rex, Ivan, Andre, Craig, Leah, Larry, Jim. Welcome to the show, everybody. And let's see. Let's put me over here. We've got 30 minutes of awesome coming in hot. Hot. How's it going? We've got FOMC tomorrow. That's all but a foregone conclusion, I guess, that we're doing a quarter point cut. Hey, Ted, good to see you, as always. We've got PCE coming up later in the week. We've got OPEX, probably the biggest OPEX in history, going to occur on Friday. It is absolutely insane. There are like 300,000 calls and puts on the S&P 500 going to expire on Friday morning at 6,000. Just an absolute insane number. I don't know if I've ever seen that big on S&P 500. Just wild, absolutely wild, and it could unclinch, and we could start moving more freely in the markets. And it's almost hard to fathom how big the OPEX is this Friday. Like I said, the notional value, we always price it notional value, might set a record. I think the last one was 2.8 trillion or something like that. The last record, maybe only 2.5, but this one might very well be bigger in notional options value. And that's if you cashed out and put it in the shares. Of course, S&P 500, there is no shares, so you kind of have to do the cash value, and it gets a little crooked, but we're saying notional value when they talk about the OPEX numbers, and that's options expiration. That's the options that are expiring for this Friday. And just absolutely, 5 trillion. We have 5 trillion this Friday. I haven't seen the numbers yet. I haven't found anybody quoting. So it's just absolute insane how many options are written for this Friday, though. They're just absolutely insane. And like I said, FOMC expecting a quarter point, but if they do anything other than a quarter point cut, I expect some chaos in the market starting at 2 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. I mean, it would be, at this point, it'd be almost ridiculous if they didn't. But does Powell want to try to cause some chaos as Biden leaves office? Or do we want to keep it chill? I don't know. You tell me. And PCE probably going to come in a little spicy. We've seen CPI coming in with a little bit of the asymmetric inflation creeping in there. And we could have PCE reconfirming that coming up later in the week. So right here, what are we talking about? We're talking about Wednesday. Excuse me. Today is Tuesday. Tomorrow, Wednesday. Right there, 2 p.m. Right there. Get the Fed funds rate announcement, the economic projections, and the statement. And then Mr. Powell cannot resist getting up and speaking in front of everybody every time. Back when Yellen was in charge, he'd only do it every other time. Back when Greenspan was in charge, he only ever did it every other time. But Powell loves to do it every time, every meeting. We're going to get up and speak. So that comes out 2:30. And he'll probably speak till after 3, maybe even 3:30. And then leave the market to close itself out. And we'll see what happens. Could be spicy, could be benign. Sometimes it moves more when he's talking. Sometimes it moves less. Sometimes the Fed rate change is just a surprise. I think that right now we're 96% sure that it's going to be a quarter point cut. Just that little bit of uncertainty. And then Thursday, we get those GDP numbers coming in right there. And then on Friday, like I said, we get this PCE inflation number. That's personal consumer expenditures. It's a different mix of how we look at CPI. So very similar to CPI, but not the same. All the pie charts all adjusted, like what's housing and food and this and that, and it seems like they take out everything that we actually spend money on. Housing costs is like only certain housing costs count, other housing costs don't. I don't know. It all should count, right? It all should count, but that's not the way they do it. So we do have that coming out on Friday, and then next week, Christmas week. Holy cow! I probably will not do 30 minutes of awesome on Tuesday next week, being Christmas Eve, and we have family plans. So, well, I'll see. If I do it, it may be after Christmas. We'll see. May throw it on Thursday. So just throwing that out there next week. We'll see. And then New Year's Eve, probably won't be doing a 30 minutes of awesome New Year's Eve either. So this may be the last one I do for this year on Tuesday. So just throwing that out there. That's Christmas Eve and that's New Year's Eve, and that's not going to be cool. My son has a birthday and we're doing birthday stuff here, and then, Christmas Eve stuff here. So it's a busy day. I will be live in the morning. The market does close early, and then I'm off on Christmas. Not going to be here at all. Hate to break it to you. Won't even do the morning show. And I will be back the day after Christmas, right there on the 26th and the 27th. And then I'll be live in the morning on the 30th and the 31st, but I'm not going to do 30 minutes of awesome on New Year's Eve. I don't believe. Things change, I'll let you know. But at this point, probably going to be the last Tuesday show of the year. I may do it on Thursday, 26th and the 2nd right there. So that'll be what we got planned right there. Stay away from the computer. Hey, I got computers everywhere. So it's, even if I'm at home, even when I'm asleep on the couch, I've got like 6 computers right there within a hand reach away. So there we go. There we go. All right. Yeah, it's like wrong over throws out. Like, what if Powell gets vindictive, But he keeps saying that Trump can't throw him out. I mean, he was there when Trump was there before. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But that's kind of the wrap on the year right there. We've got 2 weeks left. That's a holiday week. And hey, Kimberly, my favorite subscriber is here. Everybody behave. Kimberly is here. She put the hurting on me. And if everybody gets out of control. So there we go. And any questions? You can let me know. You can let me know. But that's what we got looking down to the end of the year. Next week is going to be a weird week for trading with Christmas right in the middle of the week. That's that early close right there on the 24th, and then that day's close. So we've got a Monday, and then another Monday, and then a Friday. It's like it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird, and I wouldn't expect big things out of the market next week. Just throwing that out there. Anything can happen. It can totally surprise me. We could be at Tesla 600 or some craziness, but I don't think that's going to happen with Christmas right there in the middle of the week. So there you go. Yeah. And we won't talk about it. We won't talk about the hurting. I was saying if people don't behave, you might put a hurting on me. Got to behave, everybody. And then New Year's Eve, that's another, while the market is open here, closed here, it's another one of those weird weeks. So we got 2 back-to-back weird weeks before we're back to normal over here. Golly. Where did 2024 go, everybody? Where did 2024 go? And the entries we looked for on NVIDIA were short entries. We were getting short the last couple of weeks. So I'm short, probably waiting for the big correction that I've been looking for a while. So we'll get into requests here in just a minute. All right. Jumping back over. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining. Hopefully you're entertained. It is not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument. So don't trade stocks, don't trade options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. Don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. There's substantial risk of loss if you do. Yes, even treasuries. And if you desire personal financial advice, hire and consult a financial advisor. It's not what I do. I'm not trying to play one on YouTube. So I'm not trying to tell you what buttons to push. All right. And there you go. All right. So I'm not trying to tell you what buttons to push. I just happen to get lucky. I'm a dude. I'm just a dude, just like you, except I have a YouTube show and I happen to get lucky a lot in the market. But I make some epic predictions. They come true. It's kind of crazy. Freaks me out sometimes, even me. And just because I predict it, though, doesn't mean it's going to come true. And that's the crux right there. It's all probability, right? I'm trying to be on the high probability side of all my predictions. Sometimes it doesn't work out. So you got to own your trade. All right. That's the bottom line here. Now we've got the red list. I usually rip through a few of these highlights before we jump into requests. So hold your request just a minute. We'll come back. We'll circle back around. But here we go. Here's the inauguration. I have it off by 1 day because the market's not open that day. But that's basically the inauguration day right there. the 20th right there of January. Now, we did a contract rollover and popped, but we didn't take it back yet. So this is curious here. We had kind of a down day. I was kind of like, not feeling it. Wasn't feeling it this morning. Still not feeling it. Kind of mucked with our chart here. If we wanted to see what it was looking like, we could go up ESZ 2024 right here. That's what we did have, and we still maintained right there. We still maintained that inside. We didn't break down below the lows. Didn't start flushing on down. Didn't break out. So there's kind of where we ended. And why am I looking at futures? Because it trades almost 24 hours a day. It's closed from 5 to 6 p.m. today, and then it'll be back open before we're done here. That's why futures. Now, ES1 is a constant contract, and this contract right here ends this week, this December contract. So traders, people watching and using futures, they're starting to move over to the ESH 2025 contract right here, in March 2025, and this has a different price than the one I just add up. This is why there was a big gap up. We moved to this contract, and this one still has a downtrend of highs and still has a floor. If we break down, probably going to come down. All right. That's kind of the crux of the issue here, where at least if we break down below that low that we were just looking at, we're probably at least going to come down to this area right there. And then we'll probably break on down to 6,000, test the 6,000 area. If we do that by Friday, we'll probably find a floor there because of the volume of options, both calls and puts, that are stacked up at 6,000. It would not surprise me one bit to see this drop out by Thursday, maybe on the FOMC meeting. It might be good to cover yourself before 2 p.m. tomorrow, just in case, with some sort of protection. Some sort of protection. What do I mean? You could do possibly buy a put, sell a put underneath it with a relatively small risk here to cover that drop down to the daily roadmap line right there. Could buy something at that 4 hour, like 60, that'd be 608 on SPY or something like that. Maybe buy along at 578, cover yourself through, if you want to cover through the inauguration, maybe through February. Just throwing that out there, that potential. Maybe you think we're going to lift off and blast off. That's cool too. You could buy something up here and cover something up here. I'm just saying though, like, look at VIX. It was kind of ripping a little bit today. Started moving a little bit. You could play VIX right here. You could do a debit spread here, call, buy a call 17, 18, 19, 20, and sell one even higher up. You could go out to February and buy a super cheap one that's up here. We spiked out to 64 there in August when we did that little few day flush right there to buy something in here. And if we popped all the way up there again, that could be like $20 in the money, $30 in the money. Not bad. Depends on where you put it. Just different ways to play. You could potentially play something like SPXS with some shares, or you could play SPXL with some puts. This will drop with the market right here. SPXS will pop with the market potentially. Pop with the market dropping. There's other ones. There's SDS right here. Ultra short, that's leveraged. Be careful on leverage. Leverage carries significant risk of loss. Be careful. Right there. That could pop up to the roadmap line at the minimum on a flush. And it's not giant money. That's $2 on a $19 right there. So be careful. ES is SPY. Like, just knock one decimal off, and I just gave you my expectation. That's SPY. Anil, if you don't get it, that's why I cover ES. That's the S&P 500. It's the same. Just move the decimals around just a little bit. You've got SPX, and move the decimal over 1, and you've got SPY. And the tax exempt way to play would be XSP. Or, tax preferred, I guess you would say. Treat you 60-40 on your taxable gains. 60% long-term gains, 40% short-term gains, even if you're day trading versus SPY, that's all short-term gains if you're day trading. So there you go. And if you don't have this line right here, you're like, what the fudge is that line? You're new here. You've never seen this before. That's the roadmap line. I have a link in the description. It's like $5. If you just want it for free, though, you can click underneath me here. Go to the channel homepage after we're done. Watch the free video I have pinned to the channel. It gives you the code for the indicator. Explains how it works. All those things for free. Doesn't even cost you anything. But if you want the easy button to put it on your chart automatically, it's $5. $5. The cheapest thing I offer by far. By far, and probably the most valuable. I think a lot of the green name people, my channel members, would pipe in and say so, and definitely all my Term Ride Trading Lab people would jump in. And I mean, it's the basis of pretty much everything I do. It just hums along. Now, other ways to play. SVXY, this will probably plummet like it did in August, right there, if we get a volatility event. And UVXY, while not my favorite, this one sitting at a fair value where if VIX goes crazy, you can see what it did in August. We're at a little bit lower starting point, but it could experience another nice pop into the 49.50 area. This is an ultra VIX right here, so it's a leveraged VIX play. Why not something like VXX? Well, let's take a look at VXX. Well, it did pop to a fair amount, and it is still staying elevated, but it did have a reverse split in here also, so careful. But it just doesn't make me feel great. And this one is higher priced than UVXY right there. So you could get more bang for your buck on UVXY. You could buy shares for UVXY. You don't have to play options. Everybody's like, well, you can't make any money buying shares. Oh, I'll tell you what. Check this out right here. Check this out. I bought this baby I bought a large chunk at 8. Bought another large chunk at 10. Bought another large chunk at 11. And now we're at 40. Holy fudge muffins. I just sold a boatload of calls for 56 for next Friday and got paid handsomely for it. Right up here. If I get taken out at 56 with where it was when I sold those calls, that's another $28,000 on top of the call premium, on top of what I've already made, coming from $8 to $40. This is rocking and rolling, baby. I mean, you can make some serious money on these things. And this one's not even being crazy. I mean, UVXY right there. You can buy some shares here. This goes from 20 up to 60 or 80 or, I mean, whoo, even a 40, 20, 40, that's double your money. It's, and usually this gives you like a day or two to get out right there. Usually the flushes are fast. This is one of the instruments I used during COVID. Rock and roll back here to 2020. I caught a big chunk of this right there. Caught a big chunk of that with some options. Now, this final part was too expensive to play. I had to switch to playing VIX directly. I made 50-something trades in this period between here and the 3rd week of March, right there. Basically, the OPEX, the VIX OPEX, that was game over for that one. I typed VIM instead of VIX. VIX OPEX in 2020 was it. Like that, it pretty much died after that. Didn't go anywhere. Once we hit that date right there, can't see it. We hit that date right there. That Wednesday, Thursday, when the option expiration hit, VIX just died. Fell off the cliff, never came back. Right there. That was it. So OPEX is important. If we start flushing, watch out. OPEX is where it can turn on a dime. It's my warning. Right there. All right. Everybody sufficient on that? Moving on. Nasdaq in Q. I look at the futures. All the reasons I said for the S&P. And we had the contract rollover. So NQ H 2025. Right here. we're up past reasonable targets here. Let's look at this last flush from this high to this low. We're sitting there right at the target, 22.5 on this one, right there. That can lead to a pullback to this level, that breakout level, right there. If we don't hold that, come back down to this area very easily, very quickly, and then we'll see if we find support either place. Now, if we find support here, we can go ripping on higher. Could come up to this 24. In fact, that's kind of my preference right now. We get a small pullback and rock and roll it up here. I'd like to see that. That would to check. I'd like that. Check plus. All right. That was my preferred path right there. Now, do we have to do the pullback? No, we could grind it here and then pop. That's possible too. That's really difficult to find a good entry. This presents good entries and you can make a lot more money. And it gets the VIX spicy. So that's all possible potential in there. Now, eventually we're going to hit the top, like maybe up here. And then that's probably going to be it for a while. I think we're going, circling back to S&P and the SPX real quick. I think we're going under 4 before we go over 7. All right. So think about that a second. That's a $2,000 downside potential before we get $1,000 upside potential. So that's a big coin flip. Be careful out there. Know when you're wrong. Like so far, this has been one heck of a rip, and we haven't had a very big retrace since August. And even then, looking back, it's like one little retrace, much smaller, and we just keep ripping. It's due for a little bit bigger retrace. The longer we go without one, the bigger it is we come back down. So be careful out there. Be careful out there. Be careful out there. Be careful out there. All right. Russell keeps looking really soft. This one, I think, is on a path to return to the roadmap line on the daily here. We're already below the 4 hour. I think we're coming to visit this, and we may flush it fast. And if FOMC does any kind of surprise tomorrow that creates a negative reaction, we could be down there we could be down there by Friday morning, pretty much. So very cautious here. I think pullback is in order. I mean, see, we already back tested it here, and look, we broke through, back tested, acceleration down. The next one is that daily right there. You'd be like, why don't you make up the 6 hour or something like that? These are the common charts I pay attention to. All right, they seem to work and hold. And why? Because there's a million other people using the same settings, and that's kind of the way the market works. So we do have this little uptrend. I should use the line tool, not the drawing a shaky line tool. Right there, we did break through that low. We broke through. There is the possibility that we would come back up here and back test before we drop. There is that possibility right there, and that would also be the 618 level possibility. I don't know if we're going to do it, but it is possible. So if we rip on the FOMC, there is the possibility we pop back up to this 24 area. And if we find resistance there, we could turn down there. All right, you're like, well, you're not, you're kind of both cases. It's like, yeah, because there's always both cases. Like it could be the bullish case, it could be the bearish case. I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I think we're coming down here before we break out to new highs. Like that's the big prediction. I don't think we're going up here before we come down here. Then we're coming down here, whether we pop up here and back down, but I don't think we're going up here to new highs first. So that's what I've got on Russell. All right. Oil, it's hanging in the wedge. Hanging in the wedge. So I adjusted the wedge this morning and got these downtrend of lows. We've got this uptrend of lows. We got this downtrend of highs. And we're probably just going to maintain inside there unless something upsets the cart. Geopolitical, war, whatever, you name it. Something can upset the cart here, but if we don't get any of that, we're probably just going to grind it right on over, at least through the inauguration late January. Like that's why that circle's right there. Probably gonna at least grind it right on over there. And then we'll see what happens. All right. Brent, kind of the same situation, just kind of grinding and not really committing to anything at all. Now, zooming out a little bit, we did break down and back tested this bigger wedge, which could lead to a bigger flush. And I would be very cautious on how big of a flush, because it could be as big as the mouth of this thing here. We could flush all the way down, and that would be from that breakout right there, all the way down this 56 area. This is basically, you would say, European crude, right? CL is Western Texas prices, Western Texas Intermediate, WTI. And then this is European delivery crude right here. Gasoline, wholesale prices on gasoline, looking just as weak as oil. All right, we're getting that same kind of trend going. We had a little head and shoulders thing. We just aren't. Now we're like the mini shoulder of Notre Dame or whatever. You know, we got like a shoulder, head, shoulder, 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 and no real indication where we're going. Just keep squeezing out this watermelon seed squeeze right there. Heating oil, which is diesel fuel, being a little more volatile, but not really indicating any difference of any significance here. We've kind of left behind that over there. And if this one breaks out, it may be indicative, like this one may lead. All these three don't have to go together. Diesel fuel, you know, the distillates, the gasoline and diesel don't have to go with oil. Like they could lead or lag or kind of do a little bit different thing. Yes, they all kind of move together, generally speaking, but correlation and causation are not the same thing. And while you do get the distillates from the oil, it doesn't always mean that they're going to move together. So like if we get a sudden demand for diesel fuel and there's not one for gasoline, gasoline can sit flat or not move while diesel fuel can rocket higher. So watch this one for a breakout. If you're going to set your alerts, set it up there around 235 at this point. If we get above it, we're probably rocking and rolling higher. Could go up to $3, but if we start breaking down below this trend line here, we've only got two lows that it really lines up with right now. If we break below that, though, it's going to easily flush on down to about $1.99 right now. That's for wholesale prices, not what you see at the pump. The pump has gas, taxes, federal highway, blah, 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 local, state, sales tax, and all that stuff. So it gets complicated really quickly on the price of fuel when you talk about the pump. Natural gas, this one, for, you know, cold and UNG and all those haven't really been on the radar in the morning for the last few mornings. Last week it was on there quite a bit. This week, just kind of chilling here. We are holding well above this low here. We did not break out yet. If we break out, I do think we're going to push right up to that $4 area. A lot of people think it's done already. In fact, they did the inversion. There's like a March inversion where the price in March is cheaper than the price later on in the summer. And that's just kind of crazy when you think about it. The market's already discounted lower gas for this winter season, but this looks like it might actually pop up and rip some traders. So I think $4 would be a fair target. It could be anywhere from $3.65 to $4. It's $4 is the optimistic target. $3.65 would be the very conservative target. Anything in between kind of gets us there. And that's this target that was sitting way back over here. We're finally up there. And gold continues its sideways chop and retest. So this broke out. It has a little downtrend of highs there. Broke out, retested. If we can hold there, turn higher. 2,900 is probably in the cards. If we break down, as I said this morning, we break down below this level, which we didn't do today. Probably coming right down here, maybe back to 2,400. That's gold for you. Silver is probably going to retest this roadmap line. Probably. And maybe even make a lower low. Could come right down here. Now, ideally, I want to see it go even a little further down, probably 2750 or so. But we could just come down to this 2930 area and hold. If we do that, things can get pretty spicy pretty quickly. But ideally, that would go just a bit deeper on down in here in this 27 to 2750 area right there. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Copper, Dr. Copper as they call it. Not good. Not good, not good. We're maintaining the downward bias. This could be indicating some big trouble coming right here. We topped out back here all the way in May. Everybody's like, JT, you don't understand what you're talking about. With all the alternative energy and all the projects, and all the nuclear, all this, all the that. I think we're going lower low. I've been bearish on copper for a while, even though it keeps trying to show me we're not doing it. But this was just a 3-wave corrective move up like that. That's 3 waves. Even though it was a slight higher high, that's still a corrective move. Still within the rules of Elliott wave theory. And if you think it's full of crap, that's okay. I think we're going lower low. I said that this is very similar to the way that snow was behaving for a long time. SNOW. And I said we just need a lower low and clean it all up. That's what we need right here. Just a lower low. And let's go. My mom doesn't. My mom. Anyway, I'll call her back later. So we've got this kind of cooking here, and probably needs just a flush. All right. We can talk about lumber, cattle, sugar, corn, whatever you guys want to talk about. I know everyone wants to know about Bitcoin because, well, it's getting spicy. It's been pretty caliente. Let's be real, though. The upside is probably limited here. And let's go to the all-time history chart right here. How much limited? This limited right here. I'm going to, this is kind of my firm zone right here. Now, for a number of years, I've said 150 to 300. Right now, I'm kind of firming it up 150 to 170. 150 is like the conservative target. 170 is kind of just the normal target. 300 would be like the super aggressive target. There's nothing really in between for me at this moment. I kind of expect it to pop right here and probably be all over. 150 to 172-ish, 173-ish. That zone will probably come up here, test it, and start crypto winter. Now, when? That's the big question, right? If we do this before the inauguration, crypto winter's starting early. I don't care about the whole Bitcoin strategic reserve, any of that junk. You can believe whatever you want to. We're probably going to start crypto winter early. People are probably like, well, that's it. And they're going to sell to Trump and GTFO. And we'll probably start down in crypto winter. How deep? That's the big question. This goes usually about 80% down. So we could be looking at numbers in the 40,000s right there. 70, 80% down. That's usually what a crypto winter does. Timeline for that out into 2026. Probably mid to late 2026 when we bottom out. Now, this rise here could last well past the inauguration. If we're just grinding it up and we're just in the middle here by this time in January when we do the inauguration, we could just keep riding it with some volatility, of course, out into potentially October would be the latest I really expect. And then start down. And it could go up higher. There's the possibility we go higher. So that's Bitcoin for you in a nutshell. And I did gold and silver. Gaston, gold and silver, that was it. Did gold and silver. There's no reason to do the GLD is just an ETF based on the GC futures I did just a second ago. And SLV is the ETF for SI futures I did just a second ago. And just slightly different prices, but all the same results. And then ETH USD right there, all-time history. Dun, 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 dun. If we can break out, this is having a lot of trouble. So this is struggling, really, really struggling right there. We break out, we have this, and that all-time high to break. If we could do that, we could see some more upside on Ethereum. But right now, in the face of Bitcoin being as bullish as it is, and this not even breaking higher, got to really start questioning whether this can get the legs and follow through. If we go ahead and top out on Bitcoin and this thing hasn't started moving in a big way, it's probably going to fall short of the targets up here. But I do expect, if we can catch up, 6,000 to 7,000 area, those are the targets right there. Nothing super crazy for Ethereum. Sorry. That's just what we got. That's the hand we've been dealt at this point on Ethereum. All right, so the rules of requests. You can request any ticker you want. I need a complete ticker. One request per person per request, all capitals, with a complete ticker that I can type into TradingView. And then you got to wait for somebody else to go. If you just load me up, I'll probably start skipping you. I give priority to channel members first. So if you have the green names, you are channel members of. Thank you for being a supporter. I'll try to hit you first. When I get down to the bottom, I'll come back and hit everybody else. So that's the rules of the game. And you can go. And if you're going to request a crypto or something like that, give me the full ticker I can type in here, like ETHUSD. All right. So I see FTX. And we're back to the roadmap line right there. Whew. So we did this big setup over here. And check this out. We did this 1, 2, 3, right down to that 1272. Popped up above the 618, activated a potential rally up to this level at 323. Then we retrace to the roadmap line. If we hold it, probably still going to go up there. May take another few months. If we start getting below here, though, this is the watch out. Watch out for 727.50. It can go lower, right down there. Probably somewhere around 250 area down there before we make another support. You know, maybe test this support and then maybe go even lower. All right. Next up, AMSC. AMSSC. Get the letters in the right. Superconductors. That retraced. So if it can turn around, upside be 40. Gonna have to break above 31 to get there. That's the confirmation. Above 31 right there. Sets up that trade right there. There's your targets, 40, 42. And if we don't, could get a deep retrace. And look at that. We've been, that's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2. May have another squeak in it. Be careful. It's getting to where it may do a deeper retrace. At this point, that would be somewhere down right around this area right there. Back down around 7. If it starts breaking down, you'd be like, oh, that's like, I don't want that risk. Then consider where you're getting off right there if you're already long. Sand USD. And that looks pretty gnarly. There's a major resistance right there. And move my tool back over here. That high, this low. Yeah, pretty major resistance right there. If we get through that, we could talk about higher targets, but I would be happy if we just got there. And then you see what happens. Like this one's lagging very far behind as far as bullishness on crypto. Like Bitcoin's up here if this were the Bitcoin chart, and this thing's down here still at the lows. Not good. I'm seeing that on a lot of altcoins right now. Just no participation at all. SQ and hitting the targets off that bounce. Beautiful. Retrace back to the roadmap line would be what I expect to happen next. And then possibly up to 116, maybe. I mean, if it's gonna hold high, like hold the breakout right up here, retraces, holds there, we could extend, but that's my primary expectation. We see so many things give it up right here and then drop all the way back to the roadmap line before we can go again. And then you just run the fib again from that high to this low, wherever it might be, and then you get new targets, probably somewhere right in this zone. There. Alrighty, next up. Skip the chat. Cool. I love it when I do that. It's like scroll down 1, 2, and then goes all the way to the bottom. TRI. And Thomson Reuters. Choppy sideways. Be careful. Let's kind of set the range there. Kind of playing around the upper end of the range. We could very quickly come back to the bottom of the range. Then what? I don't know. All right. And FOA. Finance of America. Pushing through that resistance. That's good to see. It's got this is a dumpster fire right here. It's got that little reverse split hiding in there. I saw it. Yeah, right there. 1 for 10. Dumpster fire. Be careful. These things can turn on you in a vicious way all of a sudden. That doesn't really mean anything because that's the lowest low. Really difficult to do anything with because we don't have any pullbacks. I'm a trend pullback continuation trader. That's kind of, I look for high probability trend pullback continuation when it just kind of moves up, stops, moves up, stops, moves up, stops. It doesn't give you a lot of anything to work with. So right here, we've got this pullback, possibly out to 30 before we get the next pullback. Other than that, just don't have a whole lot to work with on that chart. It's a pretty nasty chart. It's not my kind of chart. So sorry, Mark. SoFi. Ah, look at that, right up to the top of the arrow. Just took a little longer. We got this major resistance up here where it struggled in the early days in 2021. If we can get back through that, we could go looking for extensions. But right now, if it turns down right here, it can come down pretty viciously. We've got the roadmap line coming up at an exponential rate. I don't know if it can provide any support at all, but I would watch out. I expected struggles to get through this area right here. And that may be what we have. Like, there's going to be people that are stuck, that have been holding since back here in 2021. They're ready to just get the fudge out, sell when we finally get up here. So watch out. There could be a negative reaction before we can get through this zone. Even though there's no big gap down, there could be trouble brewing as we get up into that zone right there. Now, it could just go sailing on through. No big deal. It's difficult to do anything off the low because, well, we're already starting to play out. If we're going to be super bullish, we'll go up to 31 before we get a pullback. So if we can just rock and roll here, pull back, then we'll be bullish from there. Give this lower probability than pulling back in here and trying to bust through, though. That's SoFi for you. Pole USD. Pole USDT. Not enough chart to do anything with. See if there's one that... Oh, you're looking at Polygon. Same chart. Nasty. Yeah, I gave out a potential trade a long time ago, but let's face it, it broke. This was the lowest low. This got nasty, made the lowest low. This is just a bounce on more of a downtrend. Be like, well, that's not the right ticker. Well, guess what? Still almost exactly the same price. See right there, moves almost 1 for 1. Looks like we're coming back down. We'll see if we can hold the roadmap line right there. 1, 2, 3. Put it right down in here. Can it hold and break out? This is lagging severely compared to Bitcoin or Ethereum. Not looking too good for Polygon. CRWD. Get rid of Polygon. And potential to break on out and get rolling. This is a measured bounce. Potential target up here at 500, 600. And Lululemon. Ooh. We got to that resistance and backed off. Watch out for this to retrace back to the roadmap line. If we do that, we set up the potential to really get bigger. if we can hold the roadmap line. If we don't hold the roadmap line, then that rally is over and we're going lower low. So that's the things to watch out for. Now, if we can hold here and get continuation, the target could be way on up here with a measured bounce, big measured bounce. Nice and spicy, way up there, but we may get a retrace in between. It's kind of crazy. We just popped right on up there that fast. So watch out for retrace and a pop. And it could retrace in between here, anywhere. It's a very key resistance right there. If I was long, I would be cautious. I want to see this stay above. If we start breaking down, get below that roadmap line, this can go lower low still. Don't really want to see that right now, but it's done everything I wanted it to do so far. We're just at that resistance. Now, why am I concerned? Because of this gap down right here. Large gap down. There's people stuck. That's why I think that we're going to have a negative reaction. We're already starting to have a little bit of negative reaction. If we get on up here, we may have a bigger negative reaction as sellers hit this thing pretty hard right there on the gap fill. All right, that's Lulu for you. And Carvana. I have no target for you. Sorry. Just up and ridiculous up. There's no pullback along the way. There's just not much to chart. That was the lowest low. That pullback means nothing. It's meaningless. Off the lowest low. Yeah, you could look at these numbers, but they don't mean anything. They're not really targets. It hasn't virtually no pullbacks. Right now we're still lower high. It can still go down back to the bottom. Be careful until it breaks that high. I mean, if it got a pullback in here, if we pulled back suddenly, made a nice move, then I could project something. But right now we don't have anything like that in the works. Just one big move up off the lows with nothing. So can't really give you any target. Now this one this fib I got drawn up here doesn't mean anything. Like it has no significance because this is the lowest low on the chart. So running a pullback doesn't mean anything to the lowest low. All right. TIAUSD. I can't chart anything here on the daily. We've got not really anything not much chart history here. So this makes it very difficult. We do have a pullback from here to the roadmap line and maybe $9 or $10 and $9.90, $10, something like that. That's about all I got for you on that one. RGTI. Again, off the lowest low, there's not much to work with here. Lowest low, that move, this retrace, we're already past extension. Not much to say at this point. I would watch out. Things that do this tend to come right back down. Be very, very careful. Just doesn't have much to work with. We have a little bitty flash in there, but that's still not going to provide much at all to work with. And maybe 11, maybe 13, maybe 15, maybe. I wouldn't feel too super great about that. This is just going. This is going bubble pattern. I mean, that's really what's happening here. Doing excitement, thrill, euphoria, and then the crowd moves on. We get some complacency. We just need to cool off a little bit, and then goes back down to dead. Alrighty. C's limited. Zoomer out, Buttercup. This is stalled out and probably needs a retrace before we can go higher. Probably what we need. Major resistances there, and then way up here. And this could easily give it up anywhere in here and come down and make a lower low. Right there. CMI. This will be retracing back to the roadmap line, more than likely. And UPST. Upstart. Let's see that low, that high, this low, that one, and maybe up to 97, possibly 120. We've got this large major consolidation over here. May come up and hit that and come back down. So plenty of upside potentially, but not really looking like all-time high material yet. See, this is that same pattern I was warning you about a second ago. See that right there? Ridiculous up, a little bit of consolidation, and then right back down. Very common pattern. Happens over and over and over in the market. Did a little baby one right there. Do another, probably one right here. We'll see. And UCOM. Ooh, probably going lower low. Probably down to this area right in here. Bad news, Apple's not going to use them as a supplier anymore. Oh no, what are they going to do? Who's going to buy their chips? Who's going to buy their modems? So be careful there. On that one, CBOE. And we're back to the roadmap line. This high, this low. If we can turn back higher, get back above that 211 area, go on up to 224. If we don't, start maintaining the break below the roadmap line. Watch out, this thing could get pretty vicious here. We've been all the way up from this low here, up to this high. And a retrace could take us back down into this area right here around 140. So watch for the acceleration down here versus that small bit of upside there. And SMCI is a dumpster fire, probably going lower low than we had right back here just recently. Bounced off the roadmap line, upside down. And targets are down around 12. Same pattern, upside down, right there. Activation below the 618, and there's the target. Right there, DDOG, double dogs, data dogs. Hit the target and retrace back to the roadmap line. I don't even have to draw anything. It's right there. Consolidation. It looks almost like a head and shoulders. And that could take us right back down in this area at the roadmap line. And Microsoft. So be careful. The intermediate pattern played out already. We could potentially pop up to 480. Could. In the cards right there. And then watch out. So this could be one of the things that takes Nasdaq up to those higher levels right there. It's been lagging. It is not at an all-time high. Consider all the things that have been at all-time highs. And then other things like Meta that kind of grinding highs. Netflix kind of grinding highs. Google hitting highs now. Hit the target finally today. Boom. Yesterday and today. That one worked. Apple hitting targets. Maybe extending. This is getting a little ridiculous. Wow. Let's check this right here. Yeah, wow. Apple's getting close to $4 trillion. Look at that. Holy bananas. Microsoft's still hanging out at 3.3. Nvidia's down at 3.19. Amazon's down at 2.4. 2.4. People are like, well, Tesla's like ridiculously valued. Look at this. At the prices it's at right now, we're still only at 1.5. If this went on even up even to 3, that'd be doubling again. Holy moly. Maybe like, well, they don't do what everybody else does. Yeah, be careful. Be careful. That money could come out of Nvidia and flow into Tesla. That'd be pretty wild, right? Think about it. If you don't know about full self-driving, it's the only actual practical out on the road, out in the real world, doing something AI application that's out there. It's the only real world AI thing that is productive. So be careful. All right. I caught up to the chat, so if you're green from now on, I I'll come back and get you in a few. I'm going all the way back up to the top and catch all the stuff I didn't hit already. So MSTR is kind of scaring me a little bit. That's the bubble pattern, right? Everybody see it? Everybody see it? Right there. That's the bubble pattern. Take that arrow off. That's the bubble pattern. That's pullback. That's consolidation. We just need to chill out a little bit. And then we can pop, right? What if we break down below this? Whew. Ouch. Come all the way back down here pretty quickly. You know, SMCI did that. Like, SMCI got listed in the Nasdaq, right? And did this giant pop. So they consolidated for months and months before it got listed. It got put in the Nasdaq right here. And then did this massive, massive run right here. And then just did this consolidation. And then took it all back. Now here we are with MSTR. It popped on the news. It was going to get, like, the news broke early that we were going to put it in the Nasdaq right over here. That's where I first heard about it. We did this crazy move. Now we're already consolidating. It can take it right back. There's that same consolidation. We just did it earlier in the cycle. Right there. Kind of scary. I did sell most of my MSTX today. Just throwing that out there. I had shares on MSTX at 94. I sold them for a slight profit, and it closed even lower than where I sold them. No bueno there. So I rode it all the way up and came right back down and made just barely a few bucks. And I didn't like holding this anymore because it was taking a huge chunk of capital to keep those shares. They were requiring 100% coverage. They weren't like most stocks. When you hold them long, they let you take 80% of the money and go do other things with it. This one, they were requiring 100% cash collateral and to hold those shares, and it just wasn't cool. I mean, it's just taking too much cash, and I need to go do something else and make some money instead of hoping and dreaming we're going to break out. So it may run, but I still hold the MSTR shares, but not the MSTX shares. Alrighty, moving on. Dun, 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 dun. LEV. Still a dumpster share. What? Dumpster fire. Still a dumpster fire. Yeah. Called in a dumpster fire. Still dumpster fire. Going out of business. Yeah. Guess what? Dumpster fire. All right. NEM. And watch out. This is getting below. This is getting in a danger level right here. Like, we're getting below what's reasonable for a retrace. Could be. But here's the crux. Like, if we flip to a log chart, we could have just a little bit more to go before we get down to that level right there. Could still push it just a little lower and bounce. Getting back above the roadmap line is the positive thing. Otherwise, we could bounce and go even lower. So this is at a cautionary point right here. I was an accumulator over here and right here. I'm just waiting and seeing now. Waiting and seeing. There's no adding, no trading, no nothing for me on this thing right now. Now, if we break down below this price section over here, it's probably game over. Like, if we get down below there, it's probably like, nice knowing you. It wrecked the pattern. Game over. Still bullish, but it's definitely on the marginal list. MTCH match group is just choppy sideways, and don't really expect anything off of this at all. Like, that's not indicative of doing anything right there, except more choppy, nasty price action. More of that. Till we can start trending. There's no trend. Its cost is just ridiculous and keeps being ridiculous. And the more ridiculous target is up here, like 1,000 to 1,100. And don't really have any pullbacks to project off of, so it just makes it incredibly difficult. Mora is still the same deal. We're just grinding in the middle until we break out. Nothing. I wish I had better news, but it looks like we may be set up for a flush back down to the roadmap line right there. A breakout over this high could take us right to there. And that's the short term upside and downside right there. 18 and 38. And the market is back open. Let's see. Oxy is still looking pretty horrible, but we're in the target zone here. Oh, turn off my drawing tool. Here's the target zone. We actually touched the fib. Holy moly. I surprise myself sometimes. Right there. We touched it. Right there. You see that little candle hanging down. Now, here's the crux, though. We could come up here, bounce off the roadmap line, and go down to this one. Ugh, nasty. Be careful. And at some point, old Warren Buffett will liquidate his position. If he starts doing that, it's going to flush, baby. Potential support at 41 below this 46 area. Told people for a long time, wait till it's bullish, and that's not what it's doing yet. It's still not bullish. If you're in it and you're suffering, I apologize to you, but for people that have been around a long time, I've been pretty adamant that that was in a corrective pattern. Kappa looks like a nasty chart, and there's not going to be anything I say about this. It's pharmaceutical, and there's no roadmap line. There's no trend. There's no nothing but chop. AVGO, it popped up, and I would watch for a retrace. That hit extensions, and watch for the retrace. You're like, no, that's not going to retrace. Like, that news was too good. Look, every time it pops, it retraces. Pop big, stall out, retrace. Retrace deeper, pop, retrace, pop, retrace, pop, retrace, pop. This time's different. No, it's not different. It's going to retrace. Could drift a little higher, but highly likely, and we were sitting right at that 1618. Highly likely we retrace at least back to the breakout. Maybe take as long as till the roadmap line catches up with it over here. Probably going to retrace back. It's just probably what it's going to do. All right. Apple. Already at the target. Could it extend higher? Sure. Could it retrace? Yeah, you betcha. Watch out for. I mean, it can do some vicious, deep, fast retraces. Be careful. We have earnings coming up out here in January. It may just mess around until then and then get a big, deep retrace. Baidu is under the roadmap line. Bounced off right there. Watch out for support at 84. We get below that. Lower low. Somewhere around the 75, 77 area right there. PSEC. ESEC, another giant dumpster fire of a chart. Low price stuff near the all-time lows. Nasty. I wouldn't. Why do you want to buy that? Like, it's done nothing except go down. I mean, it has little brief periods of going up, but been doing nothing but chopping down for years. I mean, look at that. Chopping down for years. Literally years. Like, that's 2021. Nothing. Almost for 4 years. Just don't mess with stuff like that. Just don't. Do yourself a favor and just stay the fudge away from that. Stay away. Dollar Tree looks like we're going to make a lower low. Could retest the roadmap line. Probably going to make a lower low. Somewhere around 50, 51. Probably. MSTX has already been talked about. ADBE is probably coming on down. There's kind of the... I've got two targets. I've got this kind of target area and then this one down here. It's why it's kind of like when I was talking about copper. This is a big long-term correction. It comes down to the extension there, like. But we could bottom here at a higher low and then move up from there. So that's the minimum. That's the ideal. And that's what we got. It's all part of the bigger correction. That's like why this? It's because it's part of the bigger correction. Like I was talking about on copper. Bigger, longer term correction. This could go fast and then finish up down here. It could even extend even further down. So long term, big correction for a while. And probably not done. That's Adobe for you. And what button do you push to become a supporter? It's right there. I don't have the view. I'm in a broadcasting software. It's right there on the page. You can go to the channel homepage, and it's right there. I know. Let's see. Hold on a second. Let's see. YouTube / There we go. Pull it over and show you. When you come to the page like this, you can go right over here and join. It's right there. Alrighty. PEGA, let's come up into that resistance. If we can get on through, it looks like we could go cruising on up to 189. First fair chart I've seen with fairly good upside. And LTR. Well, that one. And then strike that, reverse it. This is low price stuff and probably going back down to the basement. Watch out, another dumpster fire chart. And let's see, SWBI, no updates there. It's just doing the same thing. Back to the bottom, pushing the limit here on this correction. Really want to see it hold this level. Draw it the other way. Needs to hold this zone. If we get below that zone, it could go lower low and just kind of wreck the pattern. So that's where we need to hold. This got pretty deep, but it can turn around really fast also. Does have a much bigger pattern in place. This move up. It did that deep retrace right here. This is why I'm, look at this right here. We did this move up and this deep retrace right there to start this baby off, this whole pattern. It's up off the lows. And then it finally topped out up here. Then we did this retrace. Then we've moved up and we've done another deep retrace. Like this is reminiscent of this one back here. It's kind of how this stock operates, all right? They tend to do similar things. It's not the same. It's not the exact same, but it's similar. So watch out. They can turn on a dime and go ripping pretty quickly. You say, well, the scenario was different back here. Look, the lowest low was before COVID. Like it wasn't after COVID. It was right there before COVID. COVID just took it down and then did it turn on? It turned and ripped. What's it going to be this time? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like the story doesn't matter. That's really the mind bender of the whole thing. We'll come up with the story later. DE. Wow. After so much chop, that barely made a higher high and then didn't even hit the target in a big way. Kind of came up right to the bottom of my target zone. I had it way over here. I thought we were going to do it back over here, but nope, it was 2 years later. Could get the extension. Could get the extension. It's back testing the breakouts. There, 500, maybe even 584. But that could be it too. It could retrace again. That was only 3 waves up, so be careful. Be careful. This could be part of the bigger 3-wave up too. Like that move, like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is getting complex and could go much lower low. That's why I'm not feeling it. Like, why am I not excited about it? Like getting up here, it's like because there's lots of 3s in here. It's like that was 1, 2, 3. That was 1, 2, 3. And that was 1, 2, 3. So 3s, 3s, 3s. And this is a lot of chop in between. Not a trend. All right. Trend pullback continuation. Think about it. So that's not a trend. PTVE. Dun, 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 dun. Nice pullback. Nice measured bounce potential. Sets up the rocket ship potential. And there's the target up here around 22. Not too far away now. Beautiful. On PTVE, UPS. Probably going lower. Support right here. And QUBT. Lots of these popped on this news from Google developing a new quantum chip, and maybe this is going to be exciting, fun stuff, but this is a dumpster fire chart with reverse splits, and I would be very, 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 very careful messing with this. It can easily come right back down like that. And gold firing off right there. It's a little strategy I have that goes overnight. And moving on, CMG. And measure bounce puts us, roadmap bounce, excuse me. Roadmap line bounce puts us up to 72, possibly 76. This has been one that activated right back here. Right back there. Right there. Did retrace after that, but rock and roll. And it could be choppy. It could take a few more months. There's the target 72, 76, possibly 86. But if it gets that high, it's probably likely to do something like that to get there. But then you got to watch out for the retrace to the roadmap line also. So these lines, so this is the actual target right there. This is 90% of the way to target. This one right here, 70% likely to get hit. This one right here leverages that up to 75% likely to get hit once we cross above this 618 right here after we've bounced. Like activated right there, 75% of the time we'll get to this level right here. Now this level up here, after we cross here, it's only like 35% likely. Drops off substantially between here and here. All right. Only 35% of the time we make it up here without coming back down below the roadmap line. That's a pretty substantial drop off. So be careful. Be careful, be careful. Permacautious. You're like, oh, you're so bearish. That's positive. That's going up, but I don't expect it to go to the moon. Just reality. High probability patterns. Q2, measured bounce. There's the target, 300 to 600. Quite large. It was a quite large move. And no real anything there. NVIDIA. Here's support at the roadmap line. Coming down pretty viciously. I have 120 puts that I own. Looking for something deeper and possibly even more sinister. If you've never been here before, you've never seen this before, check it out. Here's a large retrace, 67%. Here's a large retrace, 56%. Here's a large retrace. Over here, gotta go a little farther back. Right here, 84%. Another one, 89%. And I skipped a bunch in between. They were sizable also. This thing has known, for the last 20 years, it's been known to do 50 to 90% pullbacks. Why do you think now is any different? It's not. All right. It's not like suddenly there's AI. Like we've always had something. There was crypto mining, then a giant pullback. There was AI revolution before. Giant pullback. .com. Giant pullback. There's going to be another giant pullback. Like 60%. Puts us right back down in here. Got one of the 80%. Right back down to 30. Just be careful, all right? It's your money. You can do whatever you want to. You can go long NVIDIA if you want to. Just likely we topped out and likely we need a big retrace before we break out again. But the roadmap is the support. Like we bounced off of it right back here in August. I thought we were going to break through. We didn't. We bounced double bounce and right up to the target. Working on a bounce again. This high, this low. Put the upside 158, 162. But again, if we break down below the roadmap line, watch out. Come right down in here. All right. That's NVIDIA cake. I get sick of talking about NVIDIA. I've said the same thing for a year now. It's played out like the limited upside. Big choppy sideways. Those little bounces played out, I guess. Zooming out. Let's go to the weekly chart. It doesn't really scream that there's giant opportunity, right? I mean, seems to have a pretty firm, solid top in place up here at 64, and we're at 50. 15 bucks. Is that worth it for the risk? You tell me. What's the risk? That was the first move down. This is the 1, 2, 3 wave correction, and then we could make a lower low down here at 18. It's a long-term correction potential right there. And it even could go lower low down to 11. Not cool. Not cool at all. FT&T. Potential to going up. 122. We're sitting at that 198 target right there. 122 above that. Then maybe retrace and then maybe go for another move on up to like 200. Potential. Nice potential on FT&T. AUR. Difficult to chart much here, but that last big swing, and we're at target. So watch out for retrace before we can get something else. Maybe up to 13, possibly 17. It's going to have to grind through it. No real reverse splits, so this could be the lowest low. Now, IPOs and SPACs seem to do the IPO pattern too. After they get going, IPOs and SPACs tend to make a lowest low and then start their bullish journey. And this could be it. It's difficult to tell at the moment, so be careful here. This could be a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and we could be 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5 before we do a bigger retrace. But where that ends up, not sure without another retrace in here. Sorry I don't have more awesomer information there, but kind of the way that one goes. Dumpster fire, reverse splits, all the nasty things right here. All the nasty things. I'm not even going to talk about that one. Sorry. A nasty chart. Nasty. Like, you just lose your money screwing around with that. It's more likely you lose money than it is that you make a bunch of money screwing around with that. Chevron, tried to break out, failed. Broke down below the roadmap line. Red caution lights going off like crazy. If we break down below this zone, probably come on lower low. So here's the support. If we can break back above. Otherwise, looking like somewhere down in here. It's been a long-term downtrend. Long-term. And did SMCI, BKSY. Black sky. Reverse split. So it's like a rule of mine. Don't trade stuff as a reverse split. You're just setting yourself up to lose money. It's just solid companies don't reverse split. Solid charts. It's that deal right there. When it's 1 for 8, that means it collapsed. When you had, say you had 800 shares, now all of a sudden you have 100 shares, right? That's not usually the way you want to see it happen. You usually want to see it the other way. You have 100 shares, now you have 800 shares. You want to see it that way, but not reverse split, not collapsing. We see a lot of these, and usually down is usually the operative direction long term. Biox is pretty nasty. Also, low price stuff. Anything under 10 bucks doesn't usually follow my patterns, and that excludes cryptos and futures. We're just talking about equities, so normal stocks. But when they're under 10 bucks, something magic happens. The big people can't play with them anymore, and this is one of those that looks pretty nasty. Just a big sideways chop, hot mess of stock. I don't know why you want to. What screams opportunity when you look at that chart right there? It doesn't to me. What that shows me is that it's 1, 2, 3, and a big drift off that's probably going to go lower low. Oh, you don't understand. They're going to cure cancer next week. Well, they're not a biotech. They're a chemical agricultural, and I don't know. Doesn't scream to me opportunity. DJT, been a little volatile here. We did that pop and that retrace. If we get back above that 42 area, we could go on up to 59.60 area right here. Name me 100 people you communicate regularly on DJT. I don't even know what the website is for Donald Trump Media. I can't even tell you. Where's the use case? How are they going to make money? Now, they might be BKKT, and that'd be cool. But I'm sitting on some shares of this. That's basically break even right here. They buy it out. Cool. They were talking about buying it out. I'd love to see that. Buy it out or somewhere up there. Cool with me. DJT, I don't know. That's the opportunity. And if it bounces down here, probably coming down here. Burlington Coat Factory. If we can get through that resistance zone right there, upside potential at the all-time high, and then 424 above that, and possibly 490 above that. So it's got some opportunities right there, and it may do this kind of thing to get up there. You see these pullbacks over here, right? I'd probably expect more and more and more along the way. Climbing the fib ladder. Right there on Burlington. And MU. Talked about it. This was the bonus trade from this morning. Go watch that video if you want to know. Measure bounce. Potential to go higher. And that target would be somewhere up here. Possibly even longer, bigger term up here around 300. And VOD is looking like we're plummeting into the abyss. Lower low would be what I would expect off of that. It's the roadmap bounce with that high, that low, that high. Broke below the 618. Here's the target right there. Low price stuff, so it may not follow the pattern. And WM. Waste management. Retrace to the roadmap line after hitting the target. Beautiful. That high right there. That low right there. It retraced. It popped up. Broke above the 618 right there. Right to the target. And promptly retraced. It's the high probability pattern I look for all the time in the market right there. That was it. And now we set up another one. Potential to break above the 222 area and get the extension up to this area right around 233, 236, and 245. That level, and that level. All right, next up, KTOS. KTOS. And caution. It's in that resistance where we consolidated before we dropped out. And watch for another deep retrace back to the roadmap line. May need one more as it gets to the top right there before we can break through and get to the upside target. Upside target would be 41. Already did MSTR. Copart is probably played out. That high, that low. It's in the played out zone. It could go up to 65. That's possible. But it also could retrace back to the roadmap line somewhere over here. CDE. Remember, if I say anything that's helpful, beneficial, give me a thumbs up or interact with the video. And maybe 840, possibly. That's just a big sideways, hot, choppy mess of stock. So be careful. Clicked way down too low. Not really giant upside. I mean, that's like $3, but for what risk? Your risk is like down $3 too. Not my favorite kind of setup. It's just not giant opportunity on that one for me. There's plenty of other stuff to look at, and without chasing down penny stocks or weird things. That one probably coming back down to the roadmap line, and if it doesn't hold, it could go lower. It's been a long-term downtrend. First bounce, and it doesn't hold the roadmap line. Go even lower. It's none of this back here matters because that's the lowest low for, gosh. Whew. Yeah. Potential that this is done. I don't know. It looks like this is a giant correction from all the way back here. This may need a flush down here to really get this out of its system. That looks pretty gnarly. Big sideways. I wouldn't. It's not a trender for me. IoT. Back to the roadmap line. Watch for the bounce. There's the high. There's the low. Break back above 52. Looking for 60, 62. Shopify. Yeah, reaching targets. They can break out. 232, 297. Here, it's the big picture targets. We do have all these resistance levels in here from this prior consolidation where we topped and topped and topped and topped and topped and topped and then broke down. Probably gonna be resistance again, and we may have to grind through. Of course, it could just pop on through and get up there. Possible. Watch out for watch out for chop in that once we get in that zone right there, or right into it. Looks like. Yeah, we're right at that bottom one. Right at the bottom one. And we got the next one up and the next one up. And then if we can break out, 232, 297 on Shopify. UNH. Yep. Keeps flushing, baby. That was probably the top. And watch for. I kind of had that one around the money. Like we had this high back here. We had this low right in here. We popped up right in that zone and flushed right back down. Broke down below the roadmap line, so watch out. It can easily retrace back to these lows right here. And it could come all the way back down into this zone right here. Whew, that'd be a rough one. AXN. All right, we're down to 67 people on the stream, and I usually cut it off if we drop below 60. So just warning, keep hanging out if you're still watching and you want me to keep going. Axon, looks like roadmap line would be the place we're going. XRP, XRP. XRP. I think you're talking about the crypto, but there's no ticker, so XRP, Netflix, and next target up will be this one right here, right there, off that giant pullback. Now see, this is why I warn about gaps right there. You see how this came up into that gap, retraced violently, where you come on up through and then gap on through. Came back, tested it, and then now we're up here. That's why I warn about gap downs. Gap ups, not the same situation. All right, so gap downs are a problem. Gap ups are not. We do tend to have negative reactions off of gaps, and then that would be the 1100. And if we get really spicy, maybe 1700. But I don't know. Gonna have to. You know, to do something else, I think, to justify that kind of high price. Hey, who knows what they come out with. UAA. And back to the roadmap line. So we've got that high, got that low. If we can hold it, break back above this consolidation right here. Rock and roll, baby. 1250 on the upside. And EXAS. Kind of a downtrend. We're sitting on the roadmap line, and this looks highly suspect for breaking on down through the 618 and getting a lower low down here. Highly suspect. medical specialty stuff. That's one of the, there's 4 things that commonly don't have the patterns. Low price stuff, leverage stuff, biotech stuff, medical specialty, anything the Food and Drug Administration is involved in, and then China stuff. That's the 4 things right there. So it's on the list, medical specialty. And HII, I think that's right. And no trend, just chop. Just chop. Bunch of chop. That looks like it may go lower. That moved down, that we trace, and we could come down to this area right here and hunt support. And that's a years long, many years long retrace right there. EBA sitting at the roadmap line on the daily chart. Oh, that's cool. Pushing through just barely. This is looking good. It's doing the minimum thing for an entry here. I want to see it back test that, hopefully from a little bit higher level, honestly, and then turn higher, and then game on. Game on, game on. This has the potential to have bottomed. That was it. That was my target zone. We're right there. I guess Goose says it was within like $2 of where I actually said we might bottom. 600 could be the upside. And it could take years, like 2030s, 2040s. Could be years. Years and years. We could do another deep retrace in between here. Like we have giant rally, giant retrace, giant rally, giant retrace, and giant rally, something like that. All right. Dun, 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 dun. MU, already did. MDBE, MDB, Mongo database broke down below the uptrend of lows. Red alert, red alert, red alert, red alert, red alert. May go lower. Watch out. That's a danger sign right there. Danger, 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 danger. ALC. Probably coming down to that target right there. It's not magic, it's just math. And NOTV. Dun, 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 dun. The downtrend of highs. Be careful. So we can break out. Need to pop above, retrace, hold, and get bullish. So it does that. I would be very careful messing with that. Very, very careful. MRK. Dun, 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 dun. 1666. What is 1666? 1618. If you don't know anything about my fib lines, go watch the video. It's pinned to the channel homepage. Go to the channel homepage, watch the video. MRK possibly bounced down and bottomed right there. Bounced up and might go down further. 91. No indication of a bottom. NVT. That looks like it wants to break down. Watch for support of the roadmap line. If it can hold it and turn back higher, break it back above here, we could go up here to that target. But if we break down below here, we're probably coming down here. And SMLR. Charted that this morning. We're hitting some targets here. Maybe 100, and then maybe, if we can get spicy, up here 200. But it's going to be an irrational at this point, so I'd watch for a retrace if it's going to do that. And Link USD. Dun, 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 dun. Right at target. And play. Plummeted out the basement. It's big sideways for years. And dip. Can it hold that? I don't know. Could be, that could be the wave 4, that could be the wave 5, that could be the wave 2 retrace, 1, 2. I don't know. I don't know. It looks like it needs more downside though. Possibly down to here before it really bounce. It's difficult with how long it's consolidated in this area, and then dipping below can easily lead to a bigger, deeper retrace there. Coin. is potentially going on up to 427 and then 500 above that. Kava. We're down now below 60 people on the stream, so I'm going to wrap this up here. I'll do a couple more and then quit. So there you go. That's the potential bottom, and then next extension from there. See that high, that low, potential resistance back at 147 and 182 on the upside, but support all the way down here at 113-ish, right there. Path, ATH. Sitting here at the resistance, and if it turns down, lower low, right down there. And BTCL. And can't chart anything. There's not enough to chart. It's just Bitcoin with a 2x leverage. Go chart Bitcoin for your target. Figure out the percent and then multiply by 2 and get your target here. There's my target, roughly 100, 112, something like that. Alrighty, and let's see. I'll pick up any more green names. Request anything that I didn't get already. I see a Zillow. There's the target right there, almost there. 89, possibly 109 above that. And did MU, did UNH. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Sorry you weren't here earlier and before I had to cut this off. Just don't have the crowd, and there's no use in sticking around for not a lot of people. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel, 9:15 in the morning. I'll be back live, digging through the market, and I'll probably do a live stream for channel members for FOMC meeting tomorrow. So make sure you come join the channel. And if you got qualms with that, sorry, I do YouTube on my own money and own time. So you can click the join button here, be a channel member, and come see me. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, 9:15, same.